Hi, everybody. Welcome to Santa Monica College Media Makers Club. I'm your host, Doug Kine. And with me today is Betzi Stein. Betzi is a contemporary portrait artist of exceptional talent. And that's why I invited her to our studio. Welcome, Betzi Stein.
Thank you. I'm happy to be here.
And I'm happy that you came. Betzi, can you tell us how is it that you came to focus on people as your main inspiration?
Well, I have always been attracted to people, and from the earliest, I've always been an artist. And I even, as a child, I designed paper dolls with their clothes, and that I was still in elementary school when I did that. And I always took life drawing classes as a young person. I even doing life drawing classes with the nude model, and I was only like about 14 years old when I did that. And also when I went to college, I majored in sculpture, where we did figure portraits, and I did life-size portraits every week for a year in one of my courses. We always worked from the model, so I have, for most of my life, been focused on people and the figure. And at some point, when I ended up becoming a massage therapist, when life kind of intervened and I needed to make a living, I realized that my background in sculpture was appropriate for working with people. Instead of working in clay, I was actually sculpting live bodies. So ultimately, when I when I focused on my art, which took me a while to get around to that seriously, it was a natural thing for me to do, was to just work with people.
And what kind of art do you do right now?
Well, as I am a contemporary portrait artist, is the way I like to describe myself. And I work from photographs, where I take pictures, candid shots of people for the most part, and use that as photographic reference. And so I paint in acrylic, and that's what I'm doing now. Would you like to see some of my work?
Well, we sure would like to see some of your work. It's
You would.
amazing, my friends. So let's take a look at some of those paintings, shall we?
Okay, all right. So I am doing portrait commissions also. So this is a lovely little baby. She was 3 years old, and
It's darling.
she was adorable, but I worked from the photograph that her grandma provided to me. And doing commissions is fun, but challenging also, because you have to please your client, as well as staying true to my contemporary approach to making my art. So that is one of the portrait paintings that I have done. This is Rosalie, and it is a small one, 12 inches by 12 inches. So this piece is from my hand portraits series. When I was doing massage, I did a series of portraits of hands, honoring my hands in my work, and so further along in that series, I felt like, well, people use their hands in all kinds of ways. And so this piece is called Knitter's Hands. And this is a bigger piece. It's about 22 inches high by 28 inches, acrylic on canvas.
That detail is incredible. You love hands.
Yes, I love hands, and I really honor them and respect people who use their hands in their work and in life. The interesting thing about this portrait in particular is how these hands are bigger than life size. So it really pops when you're seeing it in a room.
Yeah.
Okay, so this piece is from my Art World series.
This one blew my mind. Go ahead.
Okay, so this is a gallery director, Craig Kroll, who has a gallery over at Bergamont Station, and it's called Reflexting, and he spends a lot of time texting, and so that's what he's doing here. He's what attracted me to take a picture, and I took a picture from farther back, and then cropped into it. So I was attracted to the reflection in the car, which happens to be his car, I learned, and also the stripes of the outside of the building. And you will see that I have recently discovered that how much I love stripes, and I've probably done about 6 or 7 paintings where stripes are really part of the attraction for me. So I'm working on a whole series now of people who populate the art world. So that's...
But that reflection in the car door is just stunning.
Well, thank
you. Have an eye, a real eye.
Thank you for saying that. I do like to work realistically. It's important to me, and I work hard at it because I actually am dyslexic, and that's why I work from photographs, because I am looking at shapes and able to, I couldn't really draw this myself. That's why I really need to work from a photograph. It just works for me, and technology has helped me so much. If we didn't have Photoshop and all of the ability to prepare things technically, with technology, my art would be completely different. So anyway, I'll move on. This is from a series called the Bold series, and it is where I am, using bright colors, kind of in-your-face poses against a brightly colored background. And so here are the stripes. Again, I saw this guy outside of the gym, and I realized I have to take a picture of him if I can, and it worked out. And I call this piece Hollywood Cowboy because I thought he really looked like he worked in the biz, and so this is a fun piece for me to do. This is called California Hero. Initially, there was a fire in our laundry room, smoke, and the fire department, I called the fire department, they showed up, and it was not a really serious problem, and this fellow was standing back, and I'd never actually been up close to a firefighter before, but I was just struck by the detail of what he was wearing, but also all of this equipment that he was carrying. It's just phenomenal. So,
it is, yes.
As I do like detail in my to put detail in my work, I said, I've really got to get a picture of this guy, and he was very accommodating. And of course, he wanted to pose with a smile, and I said, no, please don't smile. I much prefer to take candid shots of people so that they don't really know they're being photographed. I feel you really see the person more who they really are rather than just smiling for the camera. But this piece, I do like to have some humor in my work. I mean, I approach things with a little bit of sometimes a little snarky, a little humorous take on things. And so I was going to call it Fireman Jeff, but the whole time I was doing this painting, it took me about 3 or 4 months to do this painting, very detailed. But the California wildfires were just raging everywhere. And so I realized that I needed to not make fun of, but I needed to honor the firefighters who risked their lives and to save us and to save our communities. So this is called California Hero. I didn't want in the background, initially I was going to use a brightly colored background, but I felt that I needed to reference fire in some way but not be completely realistic about it. So, and this piece is, I'm actually donating it to the Beverly Hills Fire Department Medical Relief Fund. They're having a silent auction and an event, which is actually a week from today. And so I'm hoping that this will sell, and the proceeds, the entire proceeds, will be donated to that organization, which will help retired firefighters to have medical help. So that is this piece.
Lovely, lovely. You know, Betsy, you have quite a process when you put these pictures together, don't you? I think we'd really like to know some details about that, especially, well, in particular, in regard to that painting you did called We. A lovely painting.
Thank you. So, as I mentioned, that I do work from photographs that I take myself. This is the original image that I took. I went into a gallery and there was this beautiful young girl working the gallery, and she was very sweet and gracious and accommodating to be photographed. And so I took several pictures of her.
I know, she's amazing.
Yeah, she's gorgeous, and here she was wearing a striped top. So anyway, this was the original photograph, and I was trying to decide what kind of composition would I make with her? How can I use this? And something about her looked to me that it could be like a heart shape. And so what I decided to do was to make two. And so in Photoshop, I was able to flip the image. So this is the same image, but just facing the other direction. And also, I was very attracted by the graphic elements of this screen, and I wanted to include them also in that painting. So I also needed to flip that image, and here's that same image, but just flip the other direction. So this obviously is not her, but this shows what I need to do, and I download the photos that I take into my program, and then I need to turn the image into black and white line art, and I just print it out on a little 8.5 piece of paper, and then I take a pen and create the outline specifically, because what I'm going to have to do after I enlarge it to the size of the canvas, which often will require a trip to FedEx office to get it enlarged. So then this is the composition that I came up with, and here it looks so much like a heart, and she was such a lovely person, it just felt really appropriate to do it that way, and using these graphic elements. From there, once it was enlarged, I need to trace it onto the canvas, and so I'm just showing that I usually there's a piece of graphite underneath, and the canvas is beneath that, and then I go around with a red pencil so that I know where I am, and trace the image. So there is a lot. This whole process whatever you call it, just to get it ready to put on the easel to paint.
I
So
know.
it takes a while.
Quite a
and
process.
there's a lot of work. So here it is finally on the easel, and this is a work in progress. And here's a little bit farther along. And here is where the graphic elements came in. And the whole time I was working on this piece, I was like, okay, should I leave the background white? What should I do with the background? And you're always thinking of like how to make this whole piece work. And but I decided that that really needed to be something different. And I was inspired by something I saw on TV where somebody had a glow around her head. And so this is what I came up with. This is the painting We, and I decided to paint it gold in the background, and to, have those graphic elements recede into the background. So
What a painting!
Yeah, I really like it.
How big? How large is that?
Oh, this piece is, I believe it's also 22 by 28, 22 inches high by 28 inches wide.
Oh,
I
so
do
more
work.
than 2 feet.
Yeah. So it's I would say it's a medium-sized piece.
I see.
I do work larger. That California Hero painting is 4 feet high by 3 feet wide.
Oh, no wonder it took you months.
Right. That is exactly.
Wow.
That's exactly right.
Wow.
So my work does take a while to do because I am so meticulous about it, and so that's this. Here I am.
Well, Betzi, what advice could you give beginning artists who want to get into the game? You've been through it. You've been through the.
I have been through it, and I'm actually still going through it myself. I kind of got a late start, really, by the time I was able to get really serious about it. So I would first say to people, be passionate about your art. Whatever you do, just, have a passion about it. But realize that art is a business, and you need to get eyeballs on it. People need to see. I'm mostly going to be talking about visual artists, because that's in my experience. But you really need to spend at least 30% of your time marketing yourself.
It's true, isn't it?
Yes, it really is. Especially today, there are a gazillion artists out there. And so you need to, separate yourself from the crowd. And you want to do that. It's really important to have a website. And of course, social media presence, which most of you probably already have. But it's important to separate your personal pages from your art. That should be completely separate. So I think Facebook and Instagram are really important at this point. So also it's a good idea to have business cards, because you carry those with you and give them to anybody who asks. You really need to develop a little elevator speech that you can talk about your work when you would meet somebody in an elevator. If somebody asks you, you need like about a 30-second spiel.
elevator speech. Got it.
The elevator speech, yes. So also, it's important to do your homework. And what I mean by that is that you want to, I mean, it would be great to get your work into a gallery and be represented, and some of you will have that happen immediately, but it doesn't usually happen that way. So it's important to research galleries, online and brick and mortar galleries, to see where your work would fit into that space, into the artist that they represent. You want it to be similar enough, but different enough so that they would want to take you onto their roster. Also, so it's very important to follow their submission guidelines. Gallerists get so inundated with people sending them, you know, and they get very pushy about it, and they're sending images of their work when their work absolutely would not fit in to their space. So it's really important to follow their guidelines and to be specific about, choose who you want to, you know, follow. Go to their openings, go to their receptions. Be gracious to get to, they want it, it's like getting to know you. If you select a gallery that you really are interested in, you want to get to know the people behind the desk there.
Yeah, it's who knows you.
That's right. It's who knows you, but you have to don't be pushy. You know, I don't even tell them I'm an artist until they get to know me well enough and ask me. And also, but if you do have some questions you want to ask a gallerist, you can do that, but be gracious about it. And if they are willing to help you out, follow up with them with an email, thanking them for their advice. And also, it's good you can, you know, include an image of one of your pieces so that they know. But don't be pushy. That's really important. There's another thing that you want to enter shows. You want to, and group shows are a good way to do that, and they have these portals called artist calls, where they announce shows that are either all over the country or local. There's a bunch of them out there. One is called Cafe, another one is called Online Juried Shows. Keep entering. Don't be discouraged by rejections. You know, you need 100 rejections to get one acceptance. So just keep at it, keep doing your work. Join art organizations, network with other artists, and there are critique groups with other artists where you will learn to get and give good constructive critiques. So I've been doing this a while now, and those are some of my suggestions.
That was great. I know people are going to hear that and take advantage of that wisdom through experience, huh?
Yes, and I wish all of you students the best of luck, and we'll see your work in the galleries.
Well, how can people get in touch with you to get more information?
My website is BetziStein.com, www.betzistein.com, and my Instagram is at Betzi Stein Artist.
Right.
And Facebook also.
And Facebook.
At Betzi Stein Artist.
Well, Betzi, thank you for being here. You've been wonderful.
Thank you so much
for inviting me. It was
really
fun. Now, wasn't this fun?
Yes, this was fun.
Wasn't this fun?
This was really fun.
Okay. And so thank you everyone for watching SMC Media Makers, Betzi Stein, Contemporary Portrait Artist. I'm your host, Doug Kine. Thanks for watching. a wrap. Cut. That's a wrap. We did it.
Oh my God.
Congratulations.
Boy.